Good afternoon, dear students. Article 42 of the Constitution of Russia means everyone has the right to a favorable environment, reliable information about its condition, and to compensation for damage caused of his health or property by an environmental offense. The expansion of human economic activity and increase in the volume and amount of waste from household and industrial activities in increasingly drawing the attention of citizens to the state of the environment. Having a comprehensive understanding of the impact of the surrounding world on human health is an important component in the training of doctors. Obtaining knowledge about the main directions, methods, and supervisory and practical activities in the field of prevention and elimination of the consequences of environmental violations allows you to determine the place of medical knowledge as the basis of preserving human life and health. By its structure, the topic consists of 6 educational questions presented on the slide. The main starting points in understanding the system of legal regulation of legal activity are the Constitution of Russian Federation and Federal Law number 7 on environmental protection. Mm, the list of normative legal acts dedicated to environmental protection contains more than uh, 50 basic documents. The main ones are presented on the slide. It should be noted that in the Russian Federation, state environmental supervisions in entrusted of the Federal Service of Supervision of Natural Resource Use. Recreational human activity is understood as a complex of health improving measures carried out with the aim of restoring normal health and working capacity of a healthy but tired person. The definition has several meanings. We will introduce another form of the concept that is important for understanding the scale and place in the activities of the state. This is the economic activity of state, public, and other organizations, individuals, which is carried out with the aim of obtaining profit, social or environmental efficiency as a result of the provision of recreational services to an individual part of society or society as a whole. Currently, there is no single classification features of recreational activity. This slide shows a diagram that includes most of the current generalization options from top to bottom. By duration, by scale, by the nature of organization, according to seasonality, at the place of organization, by subspecies, by the nature of those involved, recreational resources, and another. Recreation as a type of activity is described by the following definitions. An intersectoral type of economic activity, the products of which are created by combining a wide range of goods and services of enterprise of relating in industries, whose activities cannot exist without the use of resources, consumes certain types of services while the services themselves are created in other sectors of economy. Separately, it is necessary to talk about the recreational activities of the Samara region. Currently, the recreational cluster of Samara region is a system with an average level of economic development. The tourist mm, infrastructure of the region is represented quite broadly. More than 100 hotels, over 50 sanatoriums, 122 recreation centers, 74 children's health camps. The region has natural monuments. Uh, it is about 500 sites. Historical places, about 3,000 and a half sites. Religious sites, as well as significant cultures and recreational opportunities, which is a good um, prerequisite, prerequisite for creating demand tourist programs. One of the central objects of the region, tourist and recreational life in the is the Samarska Luka National Park, a unique area formed by a band of the largest European Volga River in its middle reaches and the Rusinski Bay of the Kuybuchev Reservoir in 19 in 2006. The territory of the Samarskaya Luka was officially included in the UNESCO World Network of Biosphere Reserves. Zhiguli, the only mountains of tectonic origin of the Russian plain, are considered young, about 7 million years old, and growing. According to various estimates, their weight increases by about 1 centimeters every 100 years. The highest point of mountain is observer 381 meters above sea level. Interesting and legendary is a mountain formation bordered by five mountains uh, slopes and five ravines. The peak surrounded the stone bowl. An unusual and striking natural artifact is a blue lake, a karst funnel with a diameter of 42 meters and a depth of 34 meters. The transparency reaches 80 meters, and the temperature is only 80 degrees about zero. Unfortunately, there are still historical objects in the region that need reconstruction. However, the environment of the Samara region in the special economic zone of the tourist and recreational type will solve many problems. Now we will study one of the mechanisms of state control in the field of ecology. Environmental expertise can now be viewed as preventive control, that is a procedure that prevents investment and implementation of projects that are known to be harmful of the environment. The concept of ecological expertise is given in the federal laws number 174. This is establishment of the uh, compliance of documents and documentation sustaining the planned economic and other activities in connection with the implementation of the object of environmental expertise, environmental requirements established by technical regulation and legislation in the field of environmental protection in order to prevent the negative impact of such activities on the environment. The purpose of the environmental expertise is to prevent the negative impact of the planned activity on the environment. Objectives of the environmental expertise. The first, determination of the degree of operational safety and environmental risk. The second, organization of scientific uh, comprehensive subtained assessment of objects, establishment of compliance of objects with the requirements of legislation, environmental rules and regulation. The fourth, uh, assessment of the impact of the activities of any objects of expertise on the environment as well as quality of natural resources. Types of environmental expertise. The first is state, the second is public. Distinguish between the environmental expertise of the federal and regional levels, depending on the object of environmental expertise. Public expertise. Public environmental expertise is one of the forms of participation of citizens, public association in making environmentally significant decisions in environmental management. Objects of environmental expertise are divided into two types, federal and regional. A common features of which is a documentary nature projects and materials of regulatory and technical and instructive and methodological documents. The examination period is not more than 2 months, but it can be extended by 1 month and decision of the customer. The Urban Planning Code of the Russian Federation defines urban planning activities as workers aimed at developing the territories of cities and other settlements. Urban planning activities can be associated with territorial and architectural and construction planning. Urban planning, zoning, territorial planning, construction, overhaul, reconstruction of capital construction object. One of the important elements of planning elements of the urban environment is the functional zone of territories. The functional zoning of the city's territory sets itself the main task to maintain a balance of interest of the individuals and legal entities who manage and use a particular zone. Natural, residential, industrial, and public facilities can be located on functional areas. Any urban space can be conditionally divided into the following territories. The second, residential, where the social utility residential facilities with different numbers of floors, parking lots, garages, and other structures associated with the residence of people. The third, public and business created to accommodate, mm, accommodate medical, cultural, trade instructions, catering facilities, uh, vacation, education, business, financial, and other institutions that provide production facilities in which production facilities are located with different standards of influence on the external environment. Production areas also serve as a place for the placement of warehouses, utilities, transport, and wholesale facilities. Engineering and transport infrastructure where industrial, communal, and storage facilities, structures, transport, communication are located. Recreational. The areas where urban forests, squares, parks, ponds, beaches, reservoirs, and other tourist areas allocated, as well as areas suitable for recreation, sport, and physical education. Uh, agriculture Agricultural zones in which agricultural land, agricultural facilities, horticultural facilities, and summer cottages are located. Special and other zones with special scientific, environmental, aesthetic, and other valuable value. Th- These categories also include territories which cemeteries, solid waste disposal facilities, cattle burial grounds, and military facilities are located. The functions of the territories are determined by the land and the urban development codes of Russian Federation. To protect the human environmental uh, the use of sanitary protection zones is used a special area with a special regime of use, which is established around object industry and industries that are sources of impact on environment and human health. The size of the sanitary protection zones ensures the reduction of the impact of pollution on the atmospheric air to values established by hygienic standards. According to its functional purpose, the sanitary protection zone is a protective barrier that ensures the level of public safety during normal operation of the facility. The approximate size of the protective zone is determined by the sanitary rules at the time of design and commissioning of the facility, depending on the hazard class of enterprise. A total of 5 hazard classes from 1 to 5. It is not allowed to place in the sanitary protection zone the first residential development, including individual residential buildings, landscapes, and recreation areas. Recreation areas, territory of resort, sanatoriums, territories of horticulture association, and cottage buildings, medical and prophylactic and health improving institution of general use. The problem of planning and observance of legislation in the field of the size of sanitary protection zone is relevant for Samara as well. On the street of the Soviet army, a construction of residential buildings was suspended which fell into the zone of the strongest electromagnetic radiation. The transitions of a post-industrial society is accompanied by increasing attention to the intangible aspect of quality of life, provided they provide. In 2009, the report of the International Commission on the main indicators of economic activity and social progress, led by Nobel laureates Stiglitz and Sen, was published, which sustaining the use of the quality of life indicator as the main criterion for the economic development of society and state of uh, GDP. Quality of life is characterized by the first, residual health life supported by good medical care and safety, absence of significant threats to life and health. The second, an acceptable volume of consumption of goods and services, guaranteed access to material benefits, satisfactory social relation, the absence of serious social conflicts and threats to the achieved level of well-being family. mm, knowledge of the world and development, access to knowledge, education, and cultural values that shape personality and ideas about the world around. Access to a variety of information, including information about the state of affairs in society and other main things. Numerical indicators are used to describe the size, analyze trends in the structure and size of the population. Demography studies the size, territorial distribution, and composition of the population, the patterns of their changes based on social, economic, as well as biological and geographical factors. Demographic indicators include indicators of the natural movement of the population, fertility, mortality, general infant due to death, average life expectancy. Thus is also the size and the structure of the population, population density, educational level, ethnic structure, family structure. Environmental safety is a system includes three components. The first, comprehensive environmental assessment of the territory, environmental monitoring and management decisions, environmental policy. Environmental education allows people to understand that the world is in which they life is much more complicated than their superficial perception. That the judgments that are obvious of them are not at all unconditional. Environmental knowledge allows you to make life much safer and healthier. Not only you own, but also you loved ones. It is safe to assume that the average life expectancy of Russian under the same condition would be 10 to 15 years longer and importantly healthier if the population had a higher social culture in which environmental and medical basic knowledge equips uh, an important place. Environmental education it is a continuous process of learning, self-education, accumulation of experience, and personal development aimed at the formation of value orientation, norms of behavior, and obtaining special knowledge on environmental protection and nature management, implemented in ecologically competent activities. Environmental education should instill in a person, first of all, knowledge and skills of intelligent communication with nature, improve method and ways of constructive participation in nature conservation and rational use of natural resources. The principles on which environmental ethic is based. The principle of respect for all forms of life. The principle of respect of all forms of life uh, affirms the value of every living being. Every form of life must be respected regardless of its usefulness for humans. Every organism, human or not, having the ability of to sense or not, safe for humans or dangerous, mm, is a good yourself. The principles of biodiversity. The principles for biodiversity affirms the value of bioid, uh, bioid diversity and the need to conserve it. The principle of maintaining the sustainability of the biosphere is at the heart of the concept of sustainable development. Environmental education is a formation of a person constitution of perception of the environmental, the conviction of need for a careful attitude towards nature, the rational use of its wealth, understanding the importance of augmenting natural resources. The WHO recommendations are aimed at the formation of a healthy lifestyle. The first, a diet low in animal fats. The second, reducing the amount of salt consumed. The third, reducing the consumption of alcoholic beverages. The fourth, maintaining a normal body weight. The fifth, regular exercises. The sixth, reducing the level of stress. The formation of healthy lifestyle mindset underlies and preventive activity. Numerous programs aimed at improving the health society. Promotion of healthy lifestyles is the most important function and task of all health authorities, health education centers, educational institutions, social protection bodies. Thank you for your attention, students.